Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Gothalion, and welcome back to Destiny. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Word of Crota, which is the new hand cannon out of Crota's End on hard mode. I got it off of Crota on day 1, and I was really excited about this thing because I do like my hand cannon. So before we get into how exactly I feel about this weapon, let's go over the perks. First, it has Zen Moment. Causing damage with this weapon increases its stability. It also has speed reload, which is great. Hammer Forged, which is terrific because it basically doubles the range on this thing, and it's got explosive rounds, which, if any of you use the Fatebringer, the explosive rounds were pretty fun. Lastly, it's got Phantom Gift. Rapidly landing 3 precision hits returns 1 round to the magazine. Now, these do feel like they need to be consecutive hits, and we're going to go over the first problem with the Word of Crota, though it's not that big of a problem. And if you remember, the Black Hammer actually has a similar issue with the Hive Disruptor buff, which is actually a really nice buff on these weapons. Hive Disruptor adds a separate damage number occasionally, not always, on shots to Hive Majors. So that's anything with a yellow bar, but isn't a specifically named enemy. So you wouldn't do extra damage to, say, Ear Ute or Omnigul, but anything that's like a I don't know, like a yellow named whatever, you know, Chosen Knight, fucking whatever you want to call it. Yay. Guys, whatever. Okay, so anything that's not a named enemy and has a yellow health bar is going to be a major. So basically, it adds another damage number, but the game is actually counting that damage number towards the damage coming out of the gun. So that damage number can every once in a while interrupt the Phantom Gift perk, which otherwise is a really fun perk. It gives you 1 round in your magazine. I think you end up having a total of 17 shots from your magazine if you can consistently nail precision hits. If my math is wrong, feel free to berate me in the comments section below. So is that such a big deal against Hive Majors? No, because even if you took off the Hive Disruptor and you consistently nailed crits with Phantom Gift, then the DPS would still be lower than if you weren't consistently getting the Phantom Gift buff and you were using the Hive Disruptor. This pistol does one thing very well, and that is kill majors. So really the only areas I can recommend using this gun is within certain parts of the raid and in certain strikes. Outside of that, it's not an all-around great pistol. Yep, we're getting into the part of the video where I talk about how I feel about this pistol. I'm not a huge fan of explosive rounds. They do have their usefulness. The Hammered Forged is great. Speed reload's cool, but this pistol, I cannot recommend using it inside of the Crucible, especially when there are so many good weapons to choose from. I really cannot see any reason to bring this particular pistol into the Crucible. So let's talk about how it fares inside of PvE. So I jumped down into the pit against non-majors, and I was doing some damage on thralls. So I'm going to compare this thing to the Fatebringer, which is the inevitable comparison. The Word of Crota does a 1,047 damage precision shot on thralls, as where the Fatebringer does 1,024 damage. That's right, the Word of Crota at a 331 against level 33 enemies, this is in the hard mode raid, only does a whopping 23 more damage, which is kind of pathetic. That's around a 2% increase to damage. Then you're losing the buff where the Fatebringer makes things explode, and the Fatebringer has arguably the best buff in the game for hand cannons in Outlaw, which drastically increases your reload speed upon getting a precision kill. The Fatebringer, in every way, I feel, outclasses the Word of Crota. Fatebringer has much higher impact compared to the Word of Crota, which is kind of king when it comes to hand cannons, as they should be more about landing precision hits, landing the big damage, getting your burst damage in. And then also it has the explosion, the Firefly, that is so good. Not to mention the Fatebringer can have Field Scout, which is going to give you quite a few more shots. Well, not a few more. You're gonna carry a few more in your backpack or your reserve, and you're gonna have 1 more shot in the magazine. I think the Fatebringer, outside of killing Hive Majors, is the better gun in every way conceivable. Even at a 300 damage, it basically outclasses the Word of Crota, especially in situations where you're facing large amounts of enemies. And the higher impact, of course, is going to maybe give you a little bit of an edge in Crucible or the Iron Banner. I think it is a better weapon. Do I hate the Word of Crota? Is there a reason to be excited about it? Sure. I mean, you could be excited if you need a primary weapon for a void damage Nightfall. You have the Word of Crota. And in certain encounters, there are a heck of a lot of Hive Majors, and this thing, in those situations, will completely outclass the Fatebringer and other legendary hand cannons. Though those situations do not rise a lot. The Hive Disruptor buff on the Word of Crota gives you basically a free body shot. It doesn't happen with every shot, but it happens consistently enough that it is quite a lot of damage. So all in all, Word of Crota, very situational, not a terrible hand cannon. I'm still happy to have it, but in most situations, the Fatebringer out of the Vault of Glass, even with a lower attack stat, outclasses the thing. You're looking at a much better hand cannon in the Fatebringer, so if you have that, don't throw them out, guys, when you get the Word of Crota. I know it's a super cool looking gun, it's kind of spoopy with its green glowy things, and yo, it doesn't even have a hammer on it. When you pull back the trigger a little bit, the sumbitch glows green. So that's pretty much my breakdown of the Word of Crota, guys. A Hive Disruptor, again, will break Phantom Gift with its extra damage. I don't know if that's intended. I can't possibly see that as being intended. Bungie, please fix. Outside of that, if you're not fighting Hive Majors, you really don't need to be using this gun. Anyways, guys, let me know how you feel about your Words of Crota, or your Word of Crotas. I guess we could put that all in parentheses. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys back inside of Destiny.